Last couple months, I've been making 3D printed cars, like this one. But not only that, I even made more complex projects, like for example this modular RC chassis that can be compatible with all the few cars, like for example this one. And the thing is that I love the process of designing the cars, I love printing them, and even I love to assemble them, upload them to Maker World, and see how people print them. But there's one thing of that whole process that I hated so much, which is making assembly guide. So after all this time, I needed a solution. And that's why I made a program to make assembly guides. I call it iSembly. So when you start to make an assembly guide, the first thing you need to do is to take photos from all the parts, from all the components, and that indicates that you want to take real-life photos. But there's also the case that you take or you create your assembly guide from your favorite CAD, and that was my case. So the first thing you need to do is to import those photos to a folder. Once you have all the files, all the photos, you import them to your favorite program. Some people use Microsoft Word, others use even PDF files, exporters or creators programs, and some others even use Microsoft Excel in some cases. And the thing is that there is a whole process from taking all those photos, importing them to a PC, and then place them exactly where you want, step by step on your favorite program. And so this takes a lot of time, but there's even more. Once you place all the files, you assign each photo to a step, then you have to add description. After that, then even you have to edit the photos, add some arrows, add some other markers that are important for users so they know where to place the components and in which direction they should add the components. So the question was, how could I make a program that makes all the stuff simple, easier, and that you have like a whole ecosystem all in one, and all that while still using your favorite CAD program for designing. So that's what iSembly has. It's an all-in-one solution that will give you all these tools, all these processes, but all that in one single program. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how to use iSembly, how to export all the files, how to use all the tools that are built in iSembly, and even more. So let's take a look to iSembly. So the first thing you need to do is to go to my Patreon page. In here, you can go to the shop, and in here you will find iSembly v1.1. So just get in. It's of course a paid program. I will be updating over time, so any suggestions, leave it in comments, please. So I will try to add as much features as possible. So you have to download iSembly, and once you download it, you will extract the folder into any way you want. Once you download it, you will have it available without no need of installing it. So once we have iSembly folder, just extract it where you have it. And now once you extract everything, here you will find iSembly program X, and you will have also a README and a user guide just in case there's something that I missed in this video. But I will show you in this video most of the main features that you can use with iSembly. So once you have it, just open it. It will take from few seconds, just 5 to 10 seconds. And once it's open, we will have the first page of iSembly. So here we have iSembly, first page. So the first time you see the program, you will see the first things that you need to make an assembly guide. It's straight. There's no other stuff. It's all you need since the first moment. So imagine I want to create an assembly guide for this exact same car. So the first thing we need to do, like in any other assembly guide, is to tell which name we are going to place on it. And also adding a description. I'm not going to make the full process because you can get it. And also you can add your name as a creator. You can also add a cover image to show everyone what project they are involved. And also we can include there's an option since the first moment of including build materials. So in this case, you will add anything that people want, how much they need it, and you can even add the link of purchasing that thing. So now you have an option to save the project. You can even load projects that you already saved, or you can start from zero just in case that you don't like how it's going. Now, that's the first page. Now we need to go to capture steps. And in this page, we have all the main tools that we will use during the assembly guide. So the first thing you can see is the take screenshot button. This is the one that you are going to be using the most. And here there's two features here. The first one, imagine you have 3 monitors. You will be able to choose which one you want to take screenshots from. The second thing is that you can select only a region of the screen, or you can make an entire screenshot of the program that you are using. I'm going to be open Fusion 360 with the project of the card that I showed you, so we can start working with it, showing you how it works. Now, once we are in our favorite CAD, in my case, I am in Fusion 360. So once we loaded the project, now what we need to do is to deassemble all the parts and all the components that we want to show in the assembly guide. I'm not going to make the whole process with this part, but I'm going to show you just some few parts. So just so you get how it works. So the first thing you will notice on the right top corner, well, on the left corner, that we have this toolbar. I'm not gonna explain right now how it works, but later we will get with it. So now we have the project loaded. Now we go back to iSembly. So as we were saying, on the first things we have here is the full screen or the select region. Also, now here you can see that you can go to a previous step in case that you find yourself in step 2, 3, or 4. But also, iSembly has the option of having sub-steps, just in case that you want to add more steps into a single step. So you have those options. You can see all the gallery of screenshots that you also take. But there's even more, because when we were starting the video, as I said, there's some people like me that we don't just take photos from the CAD, but we also take photos from real life, from real parts of the projects. So in that case, you can also even import a screenshot, import an image to the step. So one more things we also have in this first page. On the right side, we also have this, the step navigator. Once you have loaded lots of steps, you will be able to go through them just to select and review the content. Now, there's one more thing that we have. Down here, we have the description. And here we can add all the needed information that your process or step will need to show for the users. There's even one more thing. iSembly has a new function that allows you to use a speech-to-text option. That means that you can add the images or take the screenshots with the toolbar that we have on the right side. So with this minimize to toolbar option, we will get the toolbar that we showed previously. So if you click this button, you will have all these buttons from iSembly. And meanwhile, you can work on your project and you can move everything while you still have the toolbar. So in this case, for example, I can take a photo of this process. For example, just like in this case, we can install the front lights and we can take a screenshot of it and then add the description on the go at the same time. So let's try to use first the toolbar. So for example, here I have the first step, which is to install this front light. So the first thing I need to do is to take a screenshot. As said before, you can choose two options. You can take a full screen or select region, which by the way, I prefer none. So we minimize again, and we can select this button to take a screenshot. Now, as you can see, the screen got like blurred, and now we can take the part that we want to showcase in our assembly. So now the photo has been saved on iSembly. And now you can add the step or the description of the step on the go. So to add the description, now you have to go to this microphone icon, just click it and just tell to iSembly what this process is about. and iSembly will add the entire words you say on the description. Install front lights. So as you can see, it says install front lights. And now if we go back to iSembly, here we'll have the description entirely added. And so as you can see, this entire program using these tools will save you a lot of time. Now let's go back to the CAD program. Now let's imagine that we have installed this part. So what we need to do is to place the component of the part back to where it was. And now what we need to do is to take again a screenshot. As simple as that. Now, imagine we want to go to the next step, which is installing, for example, these fog lights. So take out the fog lights like that. And the next thing we need to do, this little part. And now it's the same process. But we are in a different step. So how we can make that? We have two options. If we were making this as a step of installing all the front lights, we will go to another sub-step. But if we want to make this as a new step, all we need to do is to click on this button. If we want to make this as a soft step, we need to click this button. So now, if we click here, as you can see, we have step 2. The same process. We take the first screenshot, which is, I'm going to place in a better position. Like that, for example. I can take this screenshot. The screenshot is being already saved. And now the next thing we need to do is to move this component where it was. Again, we take a screenshot. And the next thing we need to do is to move again the whole component parts back in position. Like that. And again, we take a screenshot. So now all we need to do is to tell iSembly what description we need to add again. Install front lower lights. There you have it. Now it's been added to this step. Now we can go back to iSembly. And so as you can see, here we have all that we need. So the next thing we need to do is to edit each screenshot. But before that, we can see how the process it's been going. So as you can see, here we have the step navigator. We can go to step 1 or to step 2. So in step 1, for example, we made 2 screenshots. And as you can see with these buttons, we can see how the components had been added, even the descriptions using the microphone option. So now, how we can edit these screenshots to make them more dynamic and more useful and to contain even more information? Well, what we need to do is to go to this edit screenshot button. And here, as you can see, we can have lots of tools. We can add arrows, rotation arrows in case that you are using bolts in your projects. You can even add lines, brushes. And there's one thing, these brushes are not only made to paint stuff, but also each brush color is related with a component that you can use in your project, like super glue, like silicone, glue, and there's even more that I've added. So for example, if you go down here, I can see here you have all the materials that we can paint with the brush. And not only that, each material is linked to a color. And if you want, you can add a legend by clicking this option right here. This one. If you click this option and you add a brush color, which by the way, the brush colors appear right here. Each component has a different color that later will show up on the legend. So what we need to do is to click this option. And so now the first thing, we are on the second image. On this one, we don't need to edit nothing, honestly. So what we need to do is to go to the first one, edit screenshot. So the first thing we're going to make is to add an arrow to show the direction of the component, how it is installed. As you can see, I have selected this directional arrow, and all we need to do is that, as simple as it gets. If we want to make a more wider arrow, what we need to do is to go down here, increase the width, and repeat the same. Now we have a better looking arrow. Now the next thing we need to do is, for example, to add glue or silicone, which is something that I made in most of my cars. So what we need to do is to select the brush tool, go down here, click on silicone for the material type, and now you can paint where the silicone will go. Now, as you can see, the arrow disappeared, but if we go again into select mode, it appears again, just to leave you more space for painting. So now we have the silicone added, we have the arrow added, and what we need to do is to click on Add Color Legend. Now, as we finished, what we need to do is to save and close. And now, as you can see on the screen, there's a small legend that show up with a small blue color icon. And this is to show up that the blue paint is from silicon. So this is how the process on iSembly goes. So now we are going to make the same with this step. So we go to the first screenshot. Now we edit the screenshot. And again, it's the same process. On the first image, we can choose the brush. We can have the silicone. It saves what tools you used previously. So now we can paint the silicone here. We can also go to the legend, so we can add it like that. And now we can also add the arrows again. So the same, it goes like that, save and close. And now, as you can see, the component is being installed on the screenshot. Now the next thing on this one is to edit it again and to show a directional arrow going up into the part that it goes. Like that, it saves, and next screenshot, it's all the components installed. As simple as that. So this is just a few steps of how iSembly works. As you can see on the screen, there's also a lot of options that you can choose. There's even more. So now this next thing we need to do is to save all the steps. And now once we have saved all the steps, we can go to the third part of the assembly guide, which is to export what we have made. Now we can choose between PDF or Word document. If you like the results of iSembly, you don't want to edit anything more, then export it as PDF. If you want to add more stuff, then you can choose the Word document option. I will go with the PDF option. I will choose a large image size, compact on the page layout, and tight, so it doesn't occupy too much space. As you can see here, you have all the steps that we have saved. If nothing shows up here, is because you haven't saved any step. Now, the last thing is to generate documents. Simple as that. Now we open the output folder. And now here, as we can see, we have the assembly guide made with everything that we need. As you can see on the legend, we have the materials that we use when we use the brush. We have the descriptions. We have everything organized by steps. As said, you can even organize it by sub-steps. And so that's it. That's all on iSembly. It's a very simple program. As you can see, it doesn't have a very flawless UI. It's very simple, and it has a purpose, which is to save time to every maker out there. This is not only for 3D printed projects, this can also be used on any DIY project. And now it's on a very low price on Patreon, so you can go there and check and get iSembly. As said, if there's any other things that you believe that could be added to iSembly, let me know down in comments. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked iSembly, and see you in the next video, which by the way is gonna be making an assembly of this car.